Hi everyone, and welcome back to the One-Eyed Cooking Guy. Today I have a recipe for you that I make a lot for snacks. The official title of it is called Peanut Butter Granola Bars, and this recipe comes from one of my favorite websites called Forks Over Knives. If you haven't checked out the movie Forks Over Knives yet, you should give it a watch. It's one of the things that inspired me to become whole food plant-based. I'll do a separate video on that on a different day. But for today, we have these peanut butter bars. A lot of people ask vegans, how do you get protein? If you're not eating any meat at all, isn't that where you get your protein from? And the answer is there's lots of protein in plants, all different kinds of plants. And one of the main sources of protein that vegans can get is through nuts. And so this recipe is packed with peanut butter and lots of peanut butter protein. They're really, really delicious, lots of flavor. They do have one ingredient that's a strange one that I had to go searching for. It's called brown rice syrup. And I discovered that brown rice syrup is not something you can just buy in most local grocery stores. I had to actually order it from Amazon the first time. And when I tasted it out of the jar, it tastes just like honey to me. It has a very honey flavor to it. So it's the sweetener that you add in instead of the processed white or brown sugars that we're used to. These bars cook up in different ways depending on how long you leave them in the oven, obviously. So sometimes I've cooked them and they're a little softer, a little more pliable. And then other times I've left them in longer and they're very crunchy, like the granola bars that you get out of the packages that I grew up with. So I hope you give this recipe a try. It's a great snack. It gives you a lot of energy boost in the middle of the day. Let me know in the comments below if you try it out and how it went for you. And I will see you later.
So we're going to start this recipe off with a half a cup of smooth peanut butter. I use whole food plant-based peanut butter that's just ground up peanuts. That's the only ingredient in the jar. Here's that brown rice syrup I was talking about before. That's a quarter cup. It's very sweet and very sticky, so it's going to bind everything together once we get things cooking here. And then a quarter cup of pure maple syrup. I'm going to turn the heat up to medium and start whisking that around. It's kind of sticky and hard to mix it at the beginning, and then as it heats up, it starts to look like this, and it's easier to combine. And you just keep whisking and whisking for a few minutes until it turns into this, basically peanut butter soup. Once you have that, you're going to put in half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon and a half teaspoon of salt, and you're going to stir that around, and that's when things start smelling good with that cinnamon cooking there. Once that's all combined, I'm going to add 2 cups of whole rolled oats and just scoop them out and dump them on there, and hopefully I can aim correctly and it all gets in the pan. Stir this around. I can't see the edges of the pan very well because of my depth perception, so I usually stir part of this out, but once it's all stirred up, this is what it looks like, just kind of a big sticky mess of oats. You dump it into a baking pan. You got to scrape it a little bit because it gets sticky, and I like to use parchment paper so I don't have to use oil for my nonstick spray. Then the fun part, get your fingers wet and push it all in there. Make sure everything's a consistent thickness and it's all in the corners. Pop it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. And then I cut them up into, I try and approximate granola bar shapes, but I can't do straight lines very well. But that's the finished product. You can have them for breakfast or for snacks or any time of the day. Like and comment this recipe, and I hope to see you soon.